side. Feel free to step inside my mind and see what it's like on the other side. And I refuse to die. You and I refuse to die. You and I refuse to die. You and I refuse to die.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 815. This is a show in the spirit of the original concept of 815 Local Jive. Originally, when I went to Chris Johnson a couple years ago, what I wanted and what I brought up was having a show dedicated to talking about upcoming events, news in the local scene, all that good stuff. And it was pretty much going to be a segue into what we ended up doing, but we never ended up doing this part first. Go figure. We just kind of jumped balls to the wall into it. That's kind of how we always worked, right? So, first off, let me explain how this whole monthly format deal is going to work. First off, starting at the beginning of the month, the first week of the month, you get me. Little old me. Actually, big old me. I'm kind of tall. Not the point. But I sit here, rattle off the news from the past month. In today's episode, it's going to be the past year, at least the major stuff for 815, updating everyone and clearing up a bunch of stuff that's probably been going around or whatever. Either way, you'll understand more by the end of this episode. And then I rattle off the events, upcoming events for after this is released, and then move on to announcing the band of the month for the rest of the month, and whatever news I might have for this month, which isn't honestly that much. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking in this episode, so it's not going to be as much about the events and news as it is about catching you guys up with what's going on with 815 Local Jive. So, first off, past news. This past year, actually late 2013, I believe. I don't think it was New Year's yet. John Gunn joined 815. I asked him to come on specifically for the purpose of making us not broke. You know, and honestly, it never meant to screw anybody over or anything. We did everything that we did for free for a long time. I have spent thousands of dollars in equipment and software. A lot of people don't realize the editing software I use is not damn cheap. It's not. The hardware is not cheap. If my computer goes down, a component goes down, something like that happens, and trust me, the editing is tough on the memory, on the GPU, everything. If something goes wrong, then I'm without a way to edit. I'm without anything until I can pay for it out of my own pocket. And I asked John to figure out a way to turn 815 into a business, and he's done a good job of that. One of the reasons that we're so confident that we can keep up on this video editing campaign for this year is because we actually have sufficient income that if something breaks, I can go out and replace it right away. I don't have to wait. I don't have to sit there and wait a couple weeks or a month until I save up enough money to actually throw at a new GPU or new sticks of memory, or hell, even a new computer or a hard drive if it crashes. You know, so I mean, we're more comfortable. We can pay for our own advertisements. I get reimbursed for the flyers I print out. Everything's been good ever since he joined and got us in those positions. Early spring, kind of summer area, Chris Johnson quit 815. It was, as far as I could tell, those personal reasons that he had with other members. There was a lot of rumors and controversies going on around about, you know, whether he did this or whether he did that. Comes right down to it, he quit. We didn't kick him out. We didn't sit there and put him up on a freaking cross, and nothing like that. He quit. We kept our mouths shut. We left him alone. Since then, though, he seems to be doing really well for himself. He's actually started his own deal. UC Approved Promotions. UC Uncle Chris. Either way, he's keeping that name, which is good. You got to keep that. It's just like Big John Gunn. Same thing. You got to keep that label, you know what I mean? So he's starting his own thing. We'll get back to that later. Mike LeBay quit a few months after Chris did. He honestly has supported the scene long before 815 even came around. And our ad campaign lately has been support feels like a job, be a fan. And part of the reason that I thought of that is because of Michael LeBay. He told me his regiment once about what he does at every show. And pretty much what he does is he would walk into, say, bar 3, pay a $5 cover, give an extra $5 and tell him to give it to the opener, walk directly to the merch booth, buy a shirt for whoever was playing middle, go up and sit his get 2 beers, sit his happy ass right up there on front stage, watch the whole show. Whatever band did not have, or whatever band had the least people up there watching, front center stage, he would buy them all around the shots when they got off and drink with them the rest of the night. What? That was his deal every Friday and Saturday, and sometimes during the weekly shows. I don't know how the man does it, how the man would do it. I couldn't afford that. He could have bought a house 7 times over. Well, probably not 7 times over, but he pretty much could have bought a house in the past 8 years of rocking out to local music and supporting it like he has. So, honestly, he really deserved the break. I completely understand why the stress and everything else was getting to him, and I don't blame him one bit. I talked to him a few weeks ago at District when we shot the first episode of That's What She Said, and he seemed pretty bored, I guess you could say, like he wanted something to do. Basically said, he's like, if you ever need help with any of this stuff, let me know. Okay. But we didn't want to bother him. I mean, I understand if you need a break. He's been focusing on Pulse 18, Modifier, and now he's back in As 1. So he's been focusing on that. So more power to him. Whatever life takes you, Mikey, we still love you. Okay, anyway. Shortly before Mikey left, Josh Peterson and Michael Hertzner joined. These two, they have their ups and their downs, but they're powerhouses for booking. They work together to book our weekly shows at District, any kind of special events we got. They throw stuff together at the last minute. Good example, when Whiskey's was down this past summer, the first show they came back with was one of the 815 days. So we blew it up. And one thing Ginger, Michael Hertzner, did was he proved that an all-metal show can work at Whiskey's, which has happened before, but not with that lineup. And other people have been scared to do an all-metal show there, like 100%, as bad as it gets. And I saw faces I never saw there before. I saw so many people I never saw there before. But then again, it was the first show back after losing their liquor permits, or not liquor permits, their live music permits. So that probably played a part in it. So moving on, other old news that's not 815 related. I don't have a horrible memory, so this past year's kind of been a blur. I blame the beer. Breastfest had its last showing this past year, and a lot of people weren't exactly happy with how Breastfest turned out. It was more like a biker bash, which honestly I don't see why that's a problem. It's a biker bash. It's supposed to be designed for bikers. It's not supposed to be a concert, you know? That was the whole point of Breastfest the Breastfest Biker Bash. That was in the name, you know? So, at least as far as Iron Skull's doing it, it's not going to be around anymore. But I'm sure somebody, whether it be us, Uncle Chris, you know, anybody else, Art and Entertainment, whoever ends up saying, hey, we want to jump on board and do it, I'm sure somebody will come up with a replacement eventually. So just sit back, relax, and wait for all that to happen. Whiskey's had a lot of trouble, as mentioned earlier. They lost their live music permits for roughly 2 months. A lot of city council meetings, a lot of BS, a lot of news slamming them in the face for everything that happened from Riverside and Maine all the way down to the Circle of Death, you know, a roundabout. Everything that happened in that area was all Whiskey's fault for 2 months. It was freaking ridiculous. The thing that I really liked, and that whole situation was bad, but the thing that really, to me, made me feel good about this scene, and it was the smallest thing. It was the smallest little thing. It was one of the, down at City Hall, they were having one of their city council meetings, and you had the Whiskey side, which was packed of people, and you had the neighbor side, of whiskeys, the strip mall and skate co, which was like 2 people plus security guys, because they probably needed them. Yeah, I went down there and the whiskey side was packed. I don't really like court areas anyway, so I stood outside in the lobby and watched the windows of the proceedings. And while I was standing there, all of a sudden out of nowhere, one of our buddies that works at District, one of the managers, shows up there. I'm like, what are you doing here? And he was working down, it was a Tuesday night, he was working down there. And he was like, I come to support whiskeys. Okay, I thought you guys were like competitors or something like that. He's like, dude, it comes right down to it. They have families. You know, they have families to feed. They need all the support they can get. You know, I mean, we weren't I wasn't the only one standing out there. There was a few other people out there too. But it was the whole point is that they needed that support, and the council members could see us through the glass, so they knew there was people out there, you know, standing on Whiskey's side, even though they weren't in the room. You know, and you know, he made the point. He's like, and I'm not going to name him because I don't want to embarrass him for one, and I don't know too whether or not, you know, that's going to make him look bad to his bosses. But you know, he made the point too that, you know, this is like he said, they have families to feed. I mean, yes, if Whiskey's closed, their business would get bigger, but Whiskey's is a cornerstone, and when they were down, you could totally tell that things were different. The scene was different. People didn't go out as much. You know, I mean, Whiskey's itself is a very pivotal part of Rockford and the music scene and the bar scene. You know, to see that, especially in business, especially business, is very cutthroat. It's very, you know, it's not our bar, screw them type of thing. But to see that from someone from another bar, that was really cool to see. It was very respectful, very honorable of him, and I'm sure everybody that knows from Whiskey's that, you know, he did work at this, I'm sure that they appreciated it. You know, I'm sure they appreciated seeing him. So I mean, it was really cool. It was really cool. It was less high school clubhouse drama, more, you know, adult. This is the right thing to do, and that was really cool. So moving on, let's announce the band of the month, which is going to be Devolved. So Devolved is rock metal. You'll love them, trust me. Here, listen for a second.
I got the other low, like I refuse to die. You,
that's enough. Anyway, what they're basically going to do, and I'll continue where I left off explaining the month block of videos, is you got me the first week. I announced them. The second week, we'll either have stripper talk or that's what she said. We're going to kind of modulate those two. They might be week 2, they might be week 3. It's not going to be a set order. Everything's recorded a month in advance, so it's nice and smooth. This next week should be stripper talk. And on stripper talk, normally there's a band member sitting in the studio with the strippers or the dancers, sorry, apologies, and someone calls in or writes in and asks a question to the dancers, and they answer, and then the band member has to answer the same question, or maybe a reformatted version, just to make it funny or whatever. It's just a little twist that, trust me, it gets pretty hilarious. But we had some scheduling conflicts for this first show, so we had Joey Columbine actually call in on the phone, and he's asking questions to the girls, which gets pretty, so there's some tense questions in there. But anyway, the next week we will have That's What She Said, which is, honestly, I'll be blatantly honest with you, it's a dark spin-off of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Very dark spin-off. We came up with our own games. Some of them are close to what they did, but we film it live on stage at District. Josh Peterson's a part of that crew, along with 2 girls, Kim and Becca. They're primarily the hosts. They tell the boys what to do on stage, and they just kind of do it. Sometimes they'll jump in there for a game or two, depending on how many people get on stage. We had Jason Graciano from Devolved on stage this last time representing his band, and God, he found his calling. Oh my God, he is amazing on stage. He's hilarious. He's a good bass player, too. even though he uses a pick. So I just I'm nervous. Shut up. Leave me alone. All right, so let's move on from that. The last show of the month is going to be called Local Jive. I know, whatever. GT Slocum's going to be interviewing the bands. We already recorded him interviewing Devolved. We had some audio issues, so we apologize if that comes out and it's a little hard to understand. It was really loud in the bar at the time when we did it. We recorded at District because they have comfy chairs, and the lighting was good. But the reason GT's actually really good at interviews, and I'm going to explain this because some people really like and miss that drunken interview style that, you know, Mikey and Chris brought to it, which, I mean, it was fine. I mean, that was awesome. I loved recording those interviews. I was having such a hard time not laughing every time because it was good stuff. But my main goal for this video block is the two comedy shows in the middle. What they do is they draw more attention from people outside the music scene, outside of the Rockford music scene, outside of Rockford and Illinois in general. They draw more attention from them, grow the channel. People hear the music because it's being played over the shows. It's being advertised. All the shows are being advertised, what not have you. And hopefully, it would be really nice, it would be really awesome actually, is if through this, some big time record company, executive or something, or scout sees these videos, sees the band being funny in some of the shows, and then sees the interview, and it having that serious interview, the in-depth interview, seems to be a little bit more presentable to them. You know what I mean? First off, I mean, GT doesn't know these guys. He doesn't know anybody. You know, I mean, he's a veteran of the scene, or he's a veteran of the industry, not the scene. I mean, in the old days of the scene, he managed the Pimps for a long time, but the point is that he asked the questions because he doesn't know the answers. He asked the questions that, you know, people are going to want to hear, you know, and more importantly, the questions that, you know, give you more in depth about the person on the inside, not just the hey, you know, outside. So I'm excited about that. I mean, if one of those record scouts or whatever seen that, they listen to the music and they're like, yes, I want you, that would just make my day. Because honestly, in this industry, it seems like you either have to be way out there crazy, absolutely over the top, kind of crazy, or you have to be normal. There's really no middle ground. It's either the public loves the really freaking insane crazy, or they just want the normal, you know, hometown, you know, not egomaniac type of just, I like to play music and I dig the music. You know what I mean? So I kind of went with that happy medium there. So anyway, let's bust into, I don't really have any news for this month aside from the events. So we're just going to bust into the events. So starting off, the first one we're actually going to talk about is a show that's happening Friday, January 16th at 8 p.m. at Whiskey's Roadhouse. That one's going to be Eartha Clark, Nominate the King, and Tundras. They played, all these bands have played the showcase. And I've heard all these bands, and they're really good, so just go watch them anyway. Pulse 18 on January 17th, it's a Saturday, they're playing Messy's Bar and Grill in Oregon, Illinois. That starts at 9 p.m., they play till 1 p.m., or 9 p.m., play till 1 a.m., whatever. If you haven't heard Pulse 18 before, go see them. I mean, they play around town all the damn time. They're an awesome cover band. Let me put it this way: I've recorded Pulse 18 before, and you know, I put them up on the web on 815 Local Jive YouTube. And YouTube has this algorithm that it basically looks through, or compares the audio to what the CD quality of the same sound to see if you're taking a CD song. If you're using a song off a CD to put in your video, and if it's too close, they mute the whole video. Pulse 18 is the only one that I had to take a video down because I recorded them and they thought it was a CD recording. You cannot tell me that's a bad cover band. I mean, come on. They tricked YouTube. YouTube thought it was a CD. And I can tell you, it's not a CD. they're just that damn good. So go see them. They play really good music. Just go. Anyway, next one. Saturday, January 17th. Here's a big one. We were talking about what Uncle Chris is doing now. Well, this is what he's doing right now. We got the Hell on Wheels bus trip. It's the birthday bash. 99 Proof Devils presents. Well, it's actually UC approved presents, but the flyer says 99. Anyway, not the point. The 99 Proof Devils started the birthday bash a long time ago. I think that's why they did it that way, which is a good call. So that one's actually going to be 99 Proof Devils on my 6th, Devolved and So-Called Saints on that bus trip. Buses leave from Whiskey's Roadhouse at 6 p.m. sharp. It's BYOB right now. I think there's a few tickets left. They're $20 a piece. But I don't know if Devolved has their little competition done yet. They had a thing on their page about make up the best meme to these pictures or whatever, and we'll give away a free ticket. I don't know if they've announced the winner of that yet, but go check out Devolved on Facebook and see if they're still doing that. You might be able to get a free ticket out of it. If you haven't been on Invasion before, which is basically Invasion, it's a bus, road trip, whatever. It's pretty much 2 full buses full of people, 110, about that, driving out of town to an out-of-town venue. Where they're going here is Reggie's Rock Club in Chicago. They take over the venue, pretty much. They play a show there. You ride there all the way there in a coach bus, which is climate-controlled, has its own bathroom. The only thing you can't smoke on there, Mike LeBay, don't smoke on there. And yeah, that's a funny story. Anyway, he got caught smoking in the bathroom, and never mind. Give me flashbacks now. So, 110 people, 2 buses, a lot of freaking beer. You're drinking all the way there. You enjoy the show. You get driven all the way back, drinking all the way back. I will warn you guys, you will probably get back into town about 4 o'clock in the morning. So if you have to work the next day early, call in. just throwing it out there. So that's that. Hope it goes well. The pre-party, I believe, starts at 4 o'clock at Whiskey's. So if you want to party a little bit at Whiskey's before you take off, get out there a little early. So the next up is January 19th is the official start of the 815 birthday binge. It's our stuff. What it basically is a week-long, January 19th through the 24th. It's not necessarily our shows every day or official shows, or it just might be stuff that we do. But it's a block of days, a binge of 815 activities, and every day we'll have something different to do. The 19th, we start off at Tiger Tail with Big John's going to play some games. He hasn't told me what yet, but if you show up at Tiger Tail, most of us will be there, and we'll see what happens. Just Google where Tiger Tail is, and you'll figure out what the hell you don't know it's a strip club already, you'll figure it out. January 20th, it continues 815 Showcase at District. This is the year anniversary party. Not only are we going to hopefully we're either going to be shooting That's What She Said on stage that night, or we're going to be having 2 bands and just freaking rock show. Either way, it's going to be a big-ass party. January 24th continues at Whiskey's for 815 open stage. We're going to try to turn this into an actual show night. Don't know how well it's going to work, but we're going to see what we can squeeze out. January 22nd is Party on the Wambulance. Big John, if you don't know this, owns his own ambulance. So we're going to load up the 815 crew, the cast, of all the video block, and we're going to go drive around to bars. We'll update Facebook of where we're at, where you can meet us. We're just going to be bar hopping all night. Also, at Take 20 the same day, which we'll probably end up stopping in there, it's Another Lost Year, Brother Gray, and Drugs Delaney. Local support is to be announced still, $10 pre-show, and the tickets on that starts at 6 p.m. January 23rd is the Drunken Scavenger Hunt. Now, if you're in law enforcement, don't worry, we're going to make the rules. You have to have 1 DD in your party. But either way, it's a scavenger hunt that's going to take you around Rockford, collecting different items from different bars, and proof that you've been at the bars by taking a picture with a bartender, getting your receipt signed by a bartender, whatever else. So look forward to that, and we'll tell you where to meet us to start it off here within the next week or so. Also on the 23rd, which you'll probably end up having to stop here too, is at Take 20. Kill Matilda's there. Local support by Aberrant Hatter, Black Cat Manor, Audio Abduction, and Court Street. It's all ages. Friday, January 23rd. Yeah, I wrote that twice. Leave me alone. I have to do notes because I can't do this from my head. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, show starts at 6 p.m. January 24th, the binge ends at Whiskey's Roadhouse for the benefit for Sherry Dean Patton. It's not our event, but we're going to be partying there in her honor. Performances there will be Kilborn, Modifier, Left of Reason, 99 Proof Devils. Michael LeBay and Chad Foster will be doing acoustic solo numbers for that. Doors open for that at 2 p.m. We will probably be there later at night, but still show up early for everything that's there. I believe they're going to have a raffle, all the other things that Benefit has. January 31st at Whiskey's Roadhouse 2. This is the last event I actually have on my list. It's Devolve, So-Called Saints, and Silence in the Wake starts at 9 p.m. That's our official kickoff for the year for our monthly shows. And being as Devolved as the band on deck for the month that's doing all the video stuff with us, they are headlining the event. Also, check out 815localjive.com. I am going to be updating the page to be highlighting Devolved. Also updating the page for events. Go there for more information on the scavenger hunt. I will be putting a flyer there as soon as it's up. So check there on a regular basis. I've optimized it for mobile so you can use it on your smartphone. It's not that hard to read. Just zoom in. Follow us on Twitter. Oh, my knee hurts. Okay, follow us on Twitter. Check us out. We have an Instagram account now. Why? I don't know. Same thing with MySpace. We have a MySpace. I think I created the account. I never went on there. I don't really know what MySpace is now. I think Justin Timberlake bought it. No one really tells me anything. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is 815. You got to listen to me rant for 20 minutes, and you haven't died. Also, I'm pretty sure that I've slouched about 3 or 4 inches. Okay, I think I started. Have a good night,
The shadows betray you because they belong to me.